Hi everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. I'm glad you're here. When it comes to the sun, we have to keep an eye on coronal mass ejections, and it's something I watch continuously on the news, and there's one that was just erupted. I want to look at it, but stay through the video because toward the end I want to show you something else that literally could be catastrophic of something that could be coming very soon from the sun. So it's been all over the news this morning. The biggest solar flare in 6 years causes blackouts, and the next could be hours away. The sun fired the biggest solar flare in 6 years at Earth yesterday, causing a radio blackout, and there could be another in just a matter of hours. Just after 5 p.m., an X-class flare, the most powerful type, erupted from the sun's surface. And just FYI, these X-class flares they're talking about, they are the strongest. But the very smallest of those don't cause a whole lot of damage, but of course they can get absolutely catastrophic as far as their size goes. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute. The U.S. Air Force is reporting a Type 2 solar radio burst, which typically comes from the leading edge of a CME. And based on the drift rate of the radio burst, the emerging CME's velocity could exceed 4.7 million miles per hour. In other words, with a distance of 93 million miles, it'll take around 20 hours to make the journey. And this particular X-class flare is at the bottom of the scale. It's definitely not a very big one. 6 years ago, there was a much larger one, and that doesn't compare anything to the coronal mass ejection called the Carrington event, which took place in 1859. That one was huge. The difference was, back then, there was barely any electrical lines across the country, just simply telegraph lines. Today, everything's wired in and connected and held together, and it would be absolutely catastrophic to have a huge one like that. And we're heading for what's called a solar maximum, in which these CMEs, these coronal mass ejections, are going to increase over the next year or two. That's where the problem comes in. Look at this next article. From Science Alert, NASA says we'd have about a 30-minute warning before a killer solar storm hits Earth. That lead time is thanks to the fact that light can travel faster than solar material ejected from the sun, and therefore we will see through our constantly scanning telescopes when that light eruption happens. Hey guys, we only have 30 minutes. So what's going on? This last one, which is an X-class flare, was on the bottom of the scale. It took 20 hours to get here. No, if we talk about a massive one, not only is it a massive amount of power, but it's much faster and could hit us within 30 minutes. Could you imagine? I don't think we're even going to get some kind of warning. Of course, at Goshen Prepping and Goshen News and Geopolitics, I'll try to get the word out as fast as possible, but we need to be prepared for this kind of event. Let's look back at this article. The extreme event, such as the Carrington event in 1859, can cause massive destruction on electrical and communication infrastructures if it happened today. And I mentioned, most notable is its increase in speed. Researchers claim that the algorithm can predict the severity and direction of the solar storm in under a second, and it is capable of making that prediction every minute. So I absolutely believe this because we do keep an eye constantly on the sun. And there's actually lots of really good YouTube channels, by the way, out there. All you have to do is do a little Google search on YouTube, and you'll be able to find some. And they basically put out news almost every day telling you what's going on with the sun. But I will tell you, unless you are continuously watching YouTube and watching these things, even if they get noticed 30 minutes ahead of time, what are the odds you're going to get that notification? Pretty slim. And that's one of the things we need to be ready for. And again, they're talking about the data as the sun ramps up its peak of 11-year solar cycle in 2025. And they agree that the sun is ramping up its peak of its 11-year solar cycle in 2025. So we actually are not there yet. And it's another reason to have a Faraday cage. I'll link a video after this one about how to make one, because it doesn't matter if it's an EMP from like nuclear detonation in the ionosphere, or if we're talking about a CME. One thing you can do is have a Faraday cage to protect certain vital electronics. But here's the thing. In the 1800s, when there's barely telegraph lines, arcs of, if you want to describe it as lightning, went from these wires to the telegraph posts, the towers, the buildings, and caught them on fire. We're going to be seeing this happening all over the country. And again, we're only going to be given maybe, I really stress the word maybe, 30 minutes warning. The government may know, but are they going to get to the news to you fast? Well, I'll do my best to try to let you know also before I start shutting my computer down and putting it away also. But this literally could send the United States, or the rest of the world for that matter, back to an agrarian society. So as preppers, got to be ready for this. I even have Faraday cages for my solar generators to be able to keep those going as well. But it's something we need to be ready for and prepare for, because it is a very real possibility. Thank you for watching.